Welcome to the E-commerce Badassery Podcast, the place for scrappy entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran and former brick-and-mortar boutique owner who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to the E-commerce Badassery Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster. This is week 5 of our Badass Basics series, where we're breaking down the foundational stuff every e-commerce store needs to have in place, whether you're just getting started or you've been at this for years and possibly skipped a few steps along the way. Today, we're talking about trust and credibility, because here's the main downside of selling online versus selling in a brick and mortar store. Customers can't touch the product, they can't try it on, they can't smell it or taste it, and they can't walk out the door with it same day either. They have to trust that you did a good enough job representing that product, that it will actually show up at their door, and that if something goes wrong, someone on the other end will be there to help them. And the sad truth is, no matter how honorable of a business owner you are, customers are still holding you accountable to all the poor experiences they've had in the past. Plus, if you haven't noticed, in the last few years online, especially now with the explosion of AI, there's a bit of a trust recession on the internet. Your job is to create a website experience that shows the customer you are credible and trustworthy. Now, we already talked about what you need to have on your product page in episode 3 of this series, which is episode 371 on the podcast, so go back and listen to that if you haven't already. What we're going to focus on in today's episode is everything other than your product page that you can do to build up trust with your potential customers. Before we get into the specifics, I want you to remember that trust is cumulative. Nobody lands on your site looking for one big green check mark that says this business is legit. Shoppers are scanning, taking dozens of little cues, and without realizing it, they're adding them up in the background. Hard to find policies, broken links, a stock photo of a smiling woman in a headset pretending to be your customer service team, over-designed or hard to read websites. Each of these is a tiny chip out of your credibility. On the flip side, every clear answer, real photo of you or your team, every honest detail about production or shipping times, even if they're on the longer side, every review, these are all positive signals. You don't have to be perfect. You just want to have more positive signals than negative ones. And let's start with the most basic, because this is a super easy win you can make on your site. And that's your contact info and customer service accessibility. Now, in fairness, one of the most beautiful things about running an online business is that you're not stuck inside the 4 walls of a brick and mortar store. You don't have to be on for customers 8 hours a day, and you get to build a business that fits your lifestyle. But your customers still need to be able to reach you, and when they can easily find your contact info, they feel taken care of before they've even had to ask a question. While you don't have to give them a phone number they can call 24/7, you still want to make it easy for them to figure out how they can contact you. And it all starts on your contact page that you'll want to link to from your footer. While most e-commerce platforms will have a standard contact page template that includes a form, I also recommend you show your actual customer service email here. Some people are just weary about forms and want to send an email directly, so they have a record in their account. I would set up an auto reply to confirm their message has been received and let them know how long it typically takes for you to respond. You can also recommend other sources of support in the meantime, for example, directing them to your FAQs, your store policies, etc. Offering a chat feature also goes a long way. You can actually set these up with some common questions and answers, and depending on how sophisticated the platform is, it can even do order tracking for the customer. And of course, there are plenty of AI assistant platforms available that can serve your customers 24/7, even when you can't be there. When it comes to self-serve chat or AI assisted chat, it's important you're transparent about the fact that it's not a human. And make sure you have a solid follow-up system for those customers who don't get their questions answered right away. Then, of course, we have social media DMs and even comments. A lot of customers might gravitate toward this, especially if they're discovering you for the first time through ads. Overall, depending on your visibility volume, managing customers across so many channels can quickly get overwhelming. Once that happens, it's worth it to invest in a customer service platform that can help you manage everything in one central place. I'll stick my favorites in the show notes. Until then, though, if you want to streamline your communication as much as possible, you can always set up auto replies in the places you don't want to provide customer service. For example, on social media, I have an auto reply on my Instagram account that if someone messages me, it tells them the account is not monitored and then gives them links to the most popular requests. Now, your store policies like shipping and returns are the most common questions shoppers are going to have before they buy. They're also one of the biggest reasons why people abandon their cart. So making sure that information is easy to find is one of the highest impact things you can do. For your shipping policy, you want to be really specific about your order processing time, the shipping carriers you work with, where you ship from, and what your cutoff time for same-day shipping is with time zones. And even with all this information front and center, you still might have a customer that contacts you on Sunday morning, wondering why the order they placed at 8 p.m. the night before and selected overnight shipping wasn't at their door. Ask me how I know. The same goes for your returns. Having a super clear return policy, time window, who pays for the return shipping, etc., super important. And all of your policies should live in your footer and at checkout. I recommend you create separate pages for both your shipping policy and return policy versus burying them in a generic FAQ page, though you can answer those questions there as well. Bonus points, reference both of these policies on your product pages. You don't have to put every last detail there, just add a summary and link them out to the main pages. The point is, you want it to be really easy to find. And while we're here, let's talk about return policies. A lot of small businesses are hesitant to offer a generous return policy because they're afraid of being buried in returns. The truth is, a lot of people are too lazy to actually return things online, especially at lower price points. Think of your return policy as insurance for the customer. It makes them more comfortable buying because they know they're not stuck with it. A generous return policy was literally the difference between success and failure for Zappos when they first started. That said, you're still a small business and returns do eat into your margins, so you have to be smart about it. Instead of getting strict and making it hard for customers to return things, do your part to make sure the customer fully understands what they're buying before they hit checkout. We covered this in the product page episode, but this is where things like size charts, detailed descriptions, clear photos are going to do the heavy lifting. At a minimum, make sure your return window starts from the date the package is marked as delivered, not when you shipped it. And if you create personalized or made-to-order goods, it's totally fair to be more strict since those items might not be resellable. One last thing I want to note here, if you're not bought into the generous return policy idea because you know that a few returns would wreck your bottom line, that sounds more like a pricing issue than a return policy issue. Make sure your margins have enough room to absorb the occasional return without stealing all of your profit. Reviews and social proof are also a huge part of your trust and credibility online. We've already touched on this in both the product page and homepage episodes of this series, so I'm not going to go into it here, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned it. Another really important part of building trust and credibility on your website, your about page and brand story. Did you know that your About page is usually the second most visited page on a brand's website after the homepage? Shoppers go there because they want to know who they're buying from before they hand over their money. Your About page has a job to do, and it's to sell. Yes, you want to share your story and give people a peek behind the brand, but the About page isn't really about you. The shopper needs to be the hero of the story. You're the guide. Your story matters because of what it means for them. So when you're writing or updating your About page, every piece of the story you share should connect back to why it matters to the person reading it. For example, instead of, "I've always loved skincare and finally decided to start my own line," try something like, "After years of struggling to find clean skincare that actually worked on my sensitive skin, I started formulating my own. Today, brand name, helps women with reactive skin finally feel confident in their routine." Or instead of, "We're a family-owned business with 30 years of experience," try, "For 30 years, our family has helped people mark the moments that matter with jewelry pieces they'll actually wear forever, not stash in a drawer." See the difference? Same story, same facts, but now the shopper can see themselves in it. So now that you have this new angle to write the content on your About page, what should actually be there? Well, that's where you do want to talk about why you started the business and why that matters for the customer, who you serve, and what you believe about them and their experience with your product category. What makes your product or approach genuinely different? And what does that mean for the person buying? And please have a photo. If you're a solo founder, that photo should be you. If you have a team, you can show everyone. Maybe it's just a behind the scenes shot, a photo of you packing orders, your dog that supervises the warehouse. You need to add a little bit of human on this page and let people in. Your About page is where you get to be more than just a brand. You're actually a person, and people love to buy from people. And last but not least, before we wrap up, here are a few of the little things that make a bigger impact than you think. Number 1, broken links. Whether it's a page that no longer exists linked in your footer or a social media icon that links to a non-existent profile, while they seem minor, it screams neglect. Please fix those. Number 2, janky product packaging. While I'm all for saving money on things that end up in the garbage, homemade packaging, especially for any product that goes in or on someone's body, is usually a red flag to a customer. 3, an unprofessional email address. If you don't have an email at your domain, now is the time to get one. Please do not email people from @Gmail. It's giving side hustle and not in a cute way. And 4, too many pop-ups. This is one that happens a lot because you, as a returning visitor to your own website, have been cookied and you don't see all the pop-ups that a new visitor sees. So make sure you browse your website in incognito mode to get the first-time visitor experience. So what are your next steps? Well, it's time to do another audit of your site. Take a few minutes to peruse through your site, check your links, look at what opportunities you have to boost your credibility. If you're too close to it, which you probably are, we all are, enlist a friend who doesn't know as much about your products or industry and ask them what they think. Just make sure you give them permission to be honest with you. Make a quick hit list of what needs to be updated and just knock it out. Don't overthink these things too much. You just want to make sure all the necessary information is accessible. And again, if you haven't already, take a listen to the other episodes in this series, as there's definitely some overlap in building the trust and credibility with what we've talked about in other episodes. They are all listed in the full show notes for this episode at ecommercebadassery.com/373. And of course, I have some tech recommendations for you there as well. And that, my friends, is a wrap on this week's episode. Thanks so much for spending your time with me, and I'll see you on the flip side. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you want to learn more about growing your e-commerce business, get started with my free resource library at ecommercebadassery.com/free stuff and get an invite to the Lounge, my e-commerce marketing membership. When you're ready for one-on-one support, apply to work with me at ecommercebadassery.com/apply. Before you go, would you do me a quick favor? Leave a rating and review and tap that follow button. This pushes me up the chart so I can support more scrappy e-commerce entrepreneurs just like you. I'm on a mission to reach as many as I can, and I could really use your help. Thanks so much in advance. Until next time, e-commerce friend, stay badass.